Hello and welcome back to Unreal Engine 5 Blueprint Mastery, Door Systems and Interactive Portals. Previously, we finished with our widget system to show close or open based on if our door needs to open or close. So we created this function update widget text inside our BP one-way door, which is calling the function we created in the previous lesson, update widget text, from the game mode and fills the text corresponding to the door state. Now, because we have this pesky E over here on the widget, we ended up adding some code to remove the door widget while the door is opening or closing, and also adding it when the door is open or closed, when the animation has finished from the timeline. So now let's continue to the next door. So I'm gonna make the level 3 visible and go over here. This door should open opposite from where the player looks at. So to do this, we are gonna duplicate our current door. Let's save also. You saw this little asterisk over here, this white asterisk. Let me do one change. Where is the door? Here is the door. I'm gonna move this here so the asterisk appears. You see, this asterisk over here means that something changed in the blueprint and it needs to be saved, that this asset has not saved. This is what this asterisk means. I'm gonna save again, Ctrl-Shift-S for save everything, and I'm gonna duplicate this blueprint. I'm gonna call it BP opposite from player door. Spelling might be correct, might not be. We will never know. So I'm going to open this, and this is the same blueprint. This is a duplicated version of the blueprint we had. But before we start doing some changes, which will not be a lot, let's go to the tutorial map and bring one new of the float text, and let's select our point light. Let's bring it over here. I think over here is fine. Also, the collision, box collision, let's make it bigger. That's fine. And lastly, the text. Let's fill the text first. Let's select the blueprint. Let's go to my text value. This door opens opposite from player. All right. And now let's select the text. I cannot see the text. It's because it's invisible. Yeah, instead of doing this every time, let's just modify one thing on the blueprint. Let's open the blueprint. On begin play, let's bring the text and set visibility to false. And let's go to my text render and make visibility true. Let's compile and save. Back to our map. Now we can see the text, and when the game begins, it will disappear. I'm gonna bring this over here. I'm gonna go back to the blueprint. I'm gonna go to the text to format it. Let's increase the size here a little bit. So Shift Enter here. Shift Enter here, and ta-da! Let's select it again. Yeah, this is fine. Maybe a little bit smaller. Now, because this scales into a segment, basically into a snapping point, I can disable this from up here and just do this and enable it again to re-enable the snapping points. So let's bring our new door over here also. So opposite from player, I'm gonna bring it here. Which side should I turn it? This way or this way? This way. Let's keep the same pivot. Yeah, that looks okay. Is it? Yep, it's fine. So let's go to functionality. Not a lot will change. Let's find the door. I'm gonna close the other blueprints that we do not need anymore. Don't need this. Save the game mode. Yeah, just the opposite door, and that will be it. Now, what we want to change is basically on the timeline, whether this angle is -90 or 90, based from where the player is standing. We could have multiple collisions and checking from each side if the player is in this side or this side. But there is another more quick way to do this and more easy. We're going to create a function to calculate direction. And in this function, we are going to get our actor's location. So get actor location. And we need the location also of the player. To get the player in this scenario, we can just get player home. And from this, we also, actually we can just duplicate this and connect here. So we are having two locations, the player and the door location. Now, the door has a front side because we have the arrow. And if we open the player also has a front side. Now, let's go back to our calculate direction. From these two locations, we need to find the direction from the door to the player. Is it behind me or is it in front of me? So I'm gonna get direction, get unique direction vector from to. This produces a vector result, which means that based on where I am standing, the y and x and z might be minus, might be plus. Let's demonstrate this. I'm gonna do print string. I'm gonna connect this here. And let's go play. Let's put this here. Now, let's go to the door. This one opens. I forgot to connect this function. Let's connect it on pressing E actually. So I'm going to calculate direction here. So when I'm pressing E, you see all the variables except Z are minus. But if I go over here, they're minus again. Well, now the X is positive though, because I'm on the other side. If we take the centers into consideration, right here, the X is plus, whereas here it's minus. So I can't really tell which should be it. If I go from the other side, the Y will also be changing. If I had this door over here, then the Y would get minus, the Y would get plus over here. So this really doesn't finish the job. What we need to do is create a dot product. And what is returns a dot product? This doesn't really explain much. So what basically is a dot product? It's a way to compare two directions. We have the direction of our actor here, and the next direction would be the forward vector. Get forward vector. Here it is. Not this one, sorry. The actor forward. Here it is. get actor forward vector. So basically this is the front of the door. So we have this direction and we have the direction from the door to the player. So we have this direction and the forward of the door. Now, based on these directions, the dot product, it tells us how much these two vectors, these two arrows, are pointing in the same direction. If the dot product is a high positive number, they're pointing in a similar direction. If it's a negative number, they're pointing opposite direction. And if it's zero, they're pointing at a right angle to each other. Basically, what it does is it calculates the cosine of the angle between them. That's what dot product does, and it gives us a float as a return, negative or positive. And this is what we'll be using to check if it's greater or equal to 0. And if it's greater or equal to 0, we're gonna create a new variable. We're gonna call this open angle. We're gonna change it to a float. I'm gonna bring a setter over here. And again, we're gonna do a select node, select float. Now you see, if I drag the cable select, I get this one select float and I get this one select. This one has the wildcard, while the other one has a boolean by default. So I'm going to connect this here. I'm going to connect the result of our greater or equal to 0 from our dot product. And this would be, I think A will be minus 90 and B would be 90 because forward of the door is positive. So it opens opposite. Yeah, I think that is it. Now, where we're going to connect this calculate direction, if we connect it to the beginning over here, we're not going to do that. It's going to be calculating direction every time. So when I go opposite the door to close it, it will bug out, it will change the direction. But if I connect it only to when the door is closed, let's connect it to play from start. And of course, bring the angle over here. Now, this way, it's only calculating when the door is closed, and when it's gonna, from open to close, it's gonna use the same angle that it calculated before. Now, let's go test it. We could be bringing the player start with us. Okay, it opens this way. Closes correctly, it opens this way, it closes correctly. So now we have a door that opens and closes. Okay, I passed through it there, game physics. Now we have a door that opens and closes like where the player is looking at. Okay, I think this is it for this one. We're going to continue on the next double door. It's going to be the same but double on the next lesson. Goodbye for now.